You would have imagined that the pain of being called the £1 billion bottle jobs and having to sit through 120 minutes of a former Liverpool player on commentary who spits at children whilst your club loses a 6th consecutive cup final would be the worst part of the week. But you would be wrong. You would be very wrong. And you would have also forgotten what Chelsea are capable of. Christopher Nkunku is now out for 3 to 4 more weeks with an injury that no one appears to know or understand how it came about. And honestly, if this season now came to a very abrupt ending, I would be a happier man than I am right now. Technically, it has. The FA Cup is still up for grabs, or at least another spot at Wembley where we can lose a 7th final in a row. But besides that, it's fairly hopeless at this point. The Blues face Leeds United, who sit 2nd in the Championship in their first season since being relegated from the Premier League. It's a rather numb feeling and almost like oh God, do we really need to play already sort of situation. It's not just because it's 3 days after a cup final defeat. It's more of I just can't be fucking bothered anymore. I just can't be arsed with cup competitions, if it's all the effort just to lose again and again and again right at the death. And I understand that many of you might think, well, first world problems, oh, woe is you. At least you get to witness your club in a cup final. And whilst I understand where you're coming from, it's fun until your team loses. For the first side, for your club to be the first side to ever lose 6 cup finals in a row, it becomes a bit taxing. I'll be completely honest with you. Now, on top of the misery that is our current trophy-winning record, a player who barely ever plays for us, but when he does, makes a huge, huge difference, is now out for even longer. Such is life. Losses, loads of money spending, and injury after injury after injury. Coming into this game, Leeds won their last match, beating Plymouth Argyle 4-1 at home. Entering Wednesday's match, they are undefeated in their last 12 matches in all competitions. So the confidence levels are exactly where you'd expect them to be. They're going to be up for this game. They're not going to have any worries coming into this game, especially as when they see who we've played in recent months. Chelsea, on the other hand, won the last meeting between these sides, emerging victorious 1-0 in a Premier League match at Stamford Bridge last season. Wesley Fofana, who the hell is that? Scored the only goal for Chelsea in the 53rd minute. In our last 6 matches in all competitions, Chelsea have won 2, drawn 1, and lost 3. It really is a sad, sad state of affairs when it comes to our consistency. We've scored 10 and conceded 12 over that stretch of games, scoring first in 3 of the 6 games in all competitions. We've had 4 first-half goals, while our opponents have netted 5 times in the first 45 minutes. Leeds, on the other hand, have won each of their last 6. They've scored 17 and conceded 2 in that period of time, scoring first in 5 of the 6. So they're no stranger to scoring first in the first half. Quite honestly, following our performances, or our last performance in particular, it's more a frustration than anything. It's the expectance that we did what we did in the end, did all the hard work and grafting just to hide behind a potential penalty shootout, which I might be alone in thinking this, but if my memory serves well, we don't usually win penalty shootouts. Pochettino, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? Team news, and you already know we're absolutely buggered from the top down, from left to right, from back to front, inside out. We are absolutely battered, bruised, a shell of what we once were, even when we are fit, which is very few and far between these days. Chelsea are expected to be without as many as 9 players for this game. All, of course, the usual suspects, with one now, of course, Christopher Nkunku. In terms of lineups, I wouldn't be shocked if we gave Petrovic a rest. I wouldn't be upset either. He's been playing non-stop as of late, and whilst that might seem like happy days, It is only a matter of time until Robert Sanchez gets some game time. And so this one, I really wouldn't be surprised if this was the game where that was to happen. Obviously, rumours that we would be willing to listen to offers for Robert Sanchez at the end of the season. It's hard to tell just how hard we are going to go into this game. Are we going to really go for it? Are we going to, rest players? Are we going to, no one knows. No one knows. As predictions go, it's hard to predict how the game's going to go, but the hardest thing to predict these days is how we're going to line up, besides obviously the last game where we went exactly the same way as we did against Man City, all for us to crumble right at the end and go against our game plan. But I would also be shocked if we didn't see Chalobah start alongside the likes of maybe Disasi or Colwill. Gusto and Chilwell on the side of the defence in their respective positions. For me, I think Gallagher and Enzo both start, and Caicedo gets the drop for no reason in particular, but one of them has to go in favour of Mudryk and Madueke, who have to start if we're fielding players who don't usually feature. If this is a game, and believe me, I'm not taking Leeds lightly, but we have to start playing certain other players. Just to give them a bit of a run around other than just off the bench. Palmer as well, a rest could be very useful, but with NKUNKU out, perhaps we play Palmer in the 10 in this game, allow Mudryk and Madueke on the wings and Jackson up top. It's anyone's guess. It is anyone's guess what the actual fuck we do at this point, because, as I was saying earlier, it's really anyone's sort of prediction. You could guess the most obvious one, and he's just going to sprinkle a little bit of bullshit on there that you're like, why have you done that? Why have you done that? We haven't even been playing NKUNKU, and even when we did, it's just completely overwhelmed in the position that he gets put in, because it's not where he's meant to be played. You put him in very late into a cup final. He gets a goal against Liverpool. He gets a goal against Wolves, I think it was, and it's all so far all for nothing. And then he gets injured again for another month. What is going on? Predictions wise, I think it's going to be it's painfully tight as always. It's going to be painfully tight. One bad thing after another really wouldn't be much of a surprise. Let's be completely honest. Chelsea will do what Chelsea will do. And before anyone gets on at me saying it's not all that bad, it's just because we lost the final and it seems bad and you're overreacting, shut up. Shut up. I've not once on this channel, on the TikTok or Instagram, I've never alluded once to the fact that things are ever looking good under Pochettino. It might be Poch-o'clock sometimes, but even when it's bad, it's Poch-o'clock, if you know what I'm saying. I still want him out at the end of the season. I have done for a while. I want plenty of people gone. Players, staff, medical team, not just him. Not just him. There's a load of them. The fact of the matter is that we are playing, albeit a side that was recently in the Premier League, but a side that will be hungry to feed off of a very, very, very wounded Chelsea side. Not just by the final, but in general. Anyone can get a result against us these days. We've proven that. They saw Middlesbrough get a result not long ago. They sit in 13th. Leeds sit in a promotion spot. So they'll be up for it. They will be up for it. That said, we haven't lost to Leeds at home since 1999. But hey, when have we ever shied away from breaking these sorts of outrageous records in the past? My prediction is 1-1, back to Ellen Road, and then probably fuck it at the end.